Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Josh YouTube channel, where today it is actually a match preview on my channel, which is apparently very rare these days, because, I've got an upload schedule of a wet fish, but we are back today to talk about Liverpool and Chelsea that takes place on Saturday at 5:30, which is a very, very big game, 3 games already in. I've got 2 Liverpool guests with me, because I couldn't find another Chelsea fan, because, the Blue podcast ditched me. I've got Doug, he's literally here all the time. He literally... I love Doug. He loves me. We're partners in crime podcast wise. But Doug, thank you again for coming on and being here.
It's like a season ticket. It's like a season ticket of me being on your channel. But no, it's an absolute pleasure as always, my friend, and looking forward to this.
And then I've got Owen and Doug. It's not actually his name. It's Owen Thomas, but we call him David Annapper, because he's literally the second best version of David Annapper you can literally find anywhere, especially in football terms too. But Owen, I know it's a bit late for you, but I do really appreciate you coming on. And welcome to my channel. After a very long of me doing podcasts.
It's a very great honor to be here. Thank you very much, Josh. I'm really looking forward to it.
So before we get into the Liverpool-Chelsea game, I do have to quickly ask you too about the Champions League, George. I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on it. Now, Doug, I specifically went back. I can watch your stream live because I was out, but I went back specifically to find your reaction to the Atletico Madrid thing, and that was absolutely amazing. But I want to quickly now. Some people say the group's really difficult. Some people say it's fairly easy. It really matters what AC Milan turn up in this group, really, in terms of how difficult this group is, because AC Milan have the youngest squad. It had the youngest squad in Serie A last season. It is very inexperienced at this level. They've lost Donnarumma, but they've got Giroud. Do you see it as a difficult group, or do you literally, as I kind of said, it really depends on how strong AC Milan are in this stage?
I think if I'm being honest with you, Josh, I think it's a group where you're like, yes, it's tough, but it's actually teams we played before. Atletico know about us. FC Porto knows about us. The last time we played AC Milan was 2007, and actually AC Milan never played a competitive game at Anfield as well. So that's going to be really, really interesting, I think, as well. But all I'll say is bring it on, bring on whoever plays us, really, because I think, yes, I think people can say it is a tough group, but actually, if you look at all the groups in the Champions League this season, I think it's a very exciting Champions League for sure.
It's a very exciting. I think you look at all the groups. Even group. I know people say Group G is boring, but it's incredibly wide open. Like, any of those 4 teams could easily qualify. Oh, and also you were part of Doug's stream. You were actually kind of like bring on Atletico Madrid. You had the opposite reaction to Doug. You despise anti-football with a passion. So I'm absolutely sure you're raring to absolutely tear Simeone's team apart.
Like, someone's got to do it. Someone's got to do it for the good of the game, for the good of society in general. You've got to put this anti-football nonsense to bed. What are you eating, by the way? It looks delicious. What is it?
Steak dinner.
Steak dinner. Sorry, what? I mean, apart from steak, what does that involve? Mashed potatoes?
Chips and pepper sauce.
Chips and pepper sauce. That sounds absolutely.
No, I do apologize. I'm eating on stream, but I've been literally busy.
No way. I'm just curious. I think it's an excellent thing to do, and bon appetit, as they say. So I don't know. Like, if you imagine a good steak dinner with pepper sauce and chips, it's hot and it's delicious, and it's But when it gets, if you were to leave that now, because I've sort of embarrassed you by bringing it up, I didn't mean to. Carry on.
No, it's perfectly okay.
If you leave that steak dinner for about a week, I don't know what the temperature is where you are at night. What's the temperature at night? 5, 10?
Something along there. Yeah, 10 degrees probably.
10 degrees. Okay, so in 10 degrees cold, okay, and it get cold, and you leave it for about 3 nights, and you go back to that steak dinner. If you try and eat it, it would be disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's like Vivian Stanshall, the great musician and poet and writer, said about jazz music is how I feel about football. It's delicious hot and it's disgusting cold. And Diego Simeone serves up this turgid cold steak dinner football, 3-day-old steak dinner football. Whereas, he has the choice. He could heat it up and serve it hot, but he chooses not to.
No, that's fair. In terms of Chelsea's group, I think you guys see. Yes, we have Juventus, who may or may not be with Ronaldo coming in the transfer, but you think you see Chelsea finishing top or at least second in this group quite comfortably.
Very comfortable.
Yeah.
Top. Yeah.
It's like Mambo or just there to make up the numbers, and Senate will maybe struggle in Russia a wee bit, but we should still beat them.
Well, that
doesn't score.
That could have been Rangers as well, if you think about it, because Malmo were Rangers conquerors. I've just seen what Jurgen Klopp's had to say about the Champions League draw. He says, "I laughed, to be honest, pretty loud because there's a tough group. It's Champions League, so that's how it is, and you have to play the best teams in Europe, and obviously some of them are in our group. We played, I don't know how often, already against Porto, so they will be waiting for us. We've obviously a little bit of an open bill with Atletico and AC Milan, a historical one, obviously. So I think our supporters should be looking forward to it. We do, for sure. I know that people sit always at home and think, come on, that would be cool. Then you have this team together and the worst of pot 4 and the worst of pot 1 and all this kind of stuff. So we didn't get that, obviously, but we're still pretty ambitious and we'd like to show the really hard work from last year, qualifying for the Champions League, that it was worth it. That's how we will play the games."
Well, that's fair enough. So moving on to obviously the irrelevant game that takes place here on Saturday. So obviously I'll ask you basically a question and you both will answer it just to be fair. I'll give you a shout. First of all, Doug, in terms of Liverpool team news, is there anyone missing or is everyone pretty much fully fit?
Everyone's pretty much fully fit. I think Robertson is back now, which is massive. I think the only question mark is Fabinho. I don't know if he'll be back. He has been back in training, to be fair. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's back in training as well, despite becoming a dad for the first time as well. So I think we're pretty much at full strength, in all honesty. I think the only sort of question mark would probably be Origi. I don't think he'll be on the bench. I think I did obviously a preview with you, and I didn't have Origi on my bench anyway. So I think we're pretty much at full strength, if I'm being honest with you.
Owen, in terms of you, could you maybe be nice to Chelsea and play Adrian? Maybe if maybe we feel a bit generous to him.
Well, I think Chelsea might have several advantages for playing Liverpool now as opposed to later in the season. Henderson, Thiago, and of course Virgil van Dijk are sort of lacking match practice, you could say.
Yes,
because they've been coming back from injuries, or Thiago, he had an injury that was why he didn't play for Spain in the Euros. But I mean, he'll be fit to play some part. But I would imagine that at least one of Henderson and Thiago would start if they were completely fit. But I'm not sure if Henderson would even start this match if Fabinho is back. He might go for Fabinho, Keita, and Elliott, or some other combination. I'm not sure, but it's very, very exciting. I don't know. It's. I don't know how you feel about it. See, I was imagining today how I would feel if Liverpool win the match, and I would be thinking, "Wow, that's a big statement." But if we lost the match, I would think, "Oh well, it's only 3 points. It doesn't matter." So I don't know about you.
In terms of us as Chelsea, when you look at this going into the game, where do you see Liverpool getting joys against Chelsea? Is it Marcus Alonso being the potential left wing back? Is it Kante not starting, not being fit enough? Where do you see Liverpool getting joys against this Thomas Tuchel's team, which yes, managers have struggled with? You get to learn how we play with our formation, but what do you think Klopp could do to get some joys in this game?
Well, to answer your question about Marcus Alonso, yes, because Marcus Alonso is not a left back. He is a left wing back. If he is a left back, then I think Trent Alexander-Arnold will have him on toast, if I'm being honest with you. I think we can get your centre-backs as well. I don't think your centre-backs are not the quickest, and I don't see Thiago Silva playing in this one. I think you'll probably have like a Rudiger, Christensen, and probably Aspilicueta. I think probably the team you'll probably play that played against Chelsea. I suppose the question mark is obviously Kante as well, but I think we'll get joy down your flanks. I think, obviously, I think the midfield battle is going to be very, very key. It's going to be really, really key to who we play. And you know what? I think if you stop Jorginho, you stop Chelsea, in my honest opinion. I think he is the pivotal player in that Chelsea side. It's not Kante for me anymore. I think it's Jorginho. So I think if you stop Jorginho, I think you stop Chelsea.
Owen?
I'm not sure. Yes, I mean, I think that would be I agree that if we stop Jorginho, it would be huge for us. But I think Chelsea have got to find a way of stopping Liverpool as well. And Tuchel will I don't know. He'll have his plan. He'll have his tactics. But I think Kante, for example, if he plays and if he's sort of 90% or even 80% of what he could do, he's such an amazing player that he could also be the difference. So you could have two differences, if you like, plus Lukaku, of course. But in terms of exploiting Chelsea, see down the right hand side, Liverpool's right, Chelsea's left. Excuse me, I'm biased. But you would have Rudiger as a defender. Marcos Alonso will be there. Either Kovacic or Kante will be there, and Kai Havertz or someone else who plays there, whoever it may be, will also be tracking back. So how many players is that? 5. Rudiger, Kante, Alonso, Havertz. No, okay, that's 4 players. And they would be against our right-hand side, which in the last game, or games, has been Harvey Elliott, Trent, and Mo Salah. So that's 3 versus 4 there in that position. From there, Liverpool might find it a little bit hard to find any space, basically, in attack. So I think we're going to have to be a bit creative in attack. Because I imagine Chelsea will sit back, so there won't be any space. Because if there's space between, Reece James and Azpilicueta, or between Marcos Alonso and Rudiger, then we'll absolutely kill you. But Tuchel's a smart man, and he won't play like that. He won't let that happen, I don't think.
That's a fair judgment. In terms of Liverpool, Doug, what would your preferred starting 11 be? What team do you think would be the most competitive against the Chelsea team?
Well, it ain't going to be Adrian, and it ain't going to be Keller or bloody David Marshall. But if you believe the rumours today, apparently David Marshall's been linked with Liverpool, which I don't understand why. The guy's 35. He'd be just another Andy Lonergan and another Alex Manninger, so that would not be happening. So my team would be Ali in goal. I'm going to go Trent, Matip, Van Dijk. I think Robertson will play. I think he'll come in for Tsimikas. Look, nothing on Tsimikas. I think Tsimikas has had a very, very good start this season. I think he started the season really, really well. My midfield 3 will be, if he plays, Fabinho. I think it'll be Jordan Henderson, and I think it'll be Naby Keita, and then I'm going to go Salah, Mane, and Jota.
Oh, and what about you? Any difference to Doug?
Just one, and it's Bobby. It's Bobby Firmino instead of Jota. I love Jota. He's a one chance, one goal man. I'd just like to see him off the bench for the last half an hour to play off the left to sort of hopefully take advantage of any lapses in concentration from the aging Cesar Azpilicueta, because Jota is just, he's lightning. He's lightning in the mind. You know what I mean? He's not lightning in the way that Werner is lightning, where he's all pace, but is no real guile. Jota has got an extraordinary amount of guile and know-how, and he's very direct, and he's, the kind of fox in the books that Arsene Wenger was looking for 20 years ago. He would have loved Jota. Wonderful players, but I think Bobby's trickery, as Doug was saying, to stop Jorginho getting the ball. Bobby's better defensively. He's a little bit better in the air for me as well. He gets on the end of free kicks and stuff. And it can just cause trouble for Christensen and Kovacic and Jorginho. He can suck players towards him, and that will free up a little bit more space elsewhere. So yeah, for me, Bobby instead of Jota, but I wouldn't mind either. And what was your midfield, Doug? Sorry,
Fabinho, Jordan Henderson, and Naby Keita.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would love to see that as well. Yeah.
So I do want to ask you about a certain Liverpool player who may or may not feature in this game tomorrow on Saturday, Harvey Elliott. Now, obviously, you look at Mason Mount and how Mason Mount came through the academy. He had a loan in the Championship, and he's become one of Chelsea's one of the most important players. Harvey Elliott could have an extremely similar story. On loan at Blackburn last season, did it really well. Klopp now trusts him in the first team. He'll get his minutes. So there's except for the managerial situation, it's a very similar situation with Harvey Elliott. Doug, what do you think this guy could be the future in the midfield of Liverpool?
I think he's a wonderful player, Harvey Elliott. I think he's got bags of ability, and you look at his performance against Burnley. Yes, it did take him a little bit of time to get into the game, but once he got into the game, it looked like he'd been playing football for 2, 5, maybe even 10 years. He was so good against Burnley. Unlucky not to get an assist as well. Mo Salah just offside for we can obviously talk about VAR. We'd be here all day, but actually you have to say the refereeing this season has been a lot better as well. But I think Harvey Elliott will get his chance this season, and I do think he'll get more game time. Even that being in the cups. But I do think he will get. I do think he will get a lot of time in the Premier League. I think you might see him potentially get at teams that again maybe against a Brentford or even like a Norwich or something like that. I have been a big fan of Harvey Elliott since he came through the youth ranks at Fulham. I managed to watch a little bit of him at Blackburn, and he is playing the same sort of midfield role that he actually did play at Blackburn that he is doing in Liverpool. So I think this boy has got bags and bags of ability, and for 18, I mean, just imagine what he's going to be like when he's 19, 20. This guy has a lot of potential, and I'm so excited, and I am so glad he's in the Liverpool team as well.
Owen, what do you think about young Harvey Elliott?
I've seen many players, because I like watching any level of Liverpool. If they played the under sevens, I'd watch them probably. But I've been following the academy all my life, really, as much as possible. And I've seen lots of players who I've got my hopes up for, and they've generally looked bright in their teenage years and then faded away by the time they were 20, 21 for whatever reason. I don't know why. I guess it's very complicated. But, I mean, it could happen for Harvey Elliott, and it could fade away. He could, on the other hand, become, for me, an Iniesta-type player, someone who's so creative and makes so much space for his team and does so much running and just is an absolute nightmare. Like you couldn't pick him up. He was so slippery and his technique was so brilliant. I can imagine Harvey Elliott becoming that kind of player in the future, possibly. But it's just a possibility. And of course he's himself, and he has to, it's a bit, you can't really compare players really, because he's got it all to do himself and he's got his own style. We are all unique anyway. But I think, in my life, Steven Gerrard came through, one of the best players ever. Jamie Carragher came through, a brilliant defender, really great professional. Then there was a long gap, wasn't there? And I'm not sure until Trent if we had someone really great coming from the academy. So now we've got Trent. Curtis Jones, I still have high hopes for. He hasn't pushed on as much as I would have liked him to, but he's got a heck of a lot of talent, Curtis Jones. But I think Harvey Elliott, to have jumped ahead of Curtis Jones, I think he could basically he could become truly world-class, but there are many ways in which he couldn't as well. If he stops working or if he stops developing, or that happens as well.
Just on that note, And this is it's a bit of an interesting one. Do you guys think the Liverpool academy is starting to become, increasingly good? Do you think about Nat Phillips, Reece Williams, Nico Williams, Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones? I know you have some good attacking talent. Let's take Ben Woodburn out of the situation. How you still have him? I'll never know. It's like our Kennedy and. But though, over the past few years, there's definitely players coming through the academy at Liverpool. You look at obviously Harry Wilson, Ryan Kent, Ojo, obviously players who are at other clubs now, but they obviously started off in your academy. Liverpool's academy is starting to slowly get up there. The under 23 team doing very, very well in the Premier League 2 division.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think you look at like Nat Phillips, who came from Bolton, so he didn't really come through the youth ranks, but
and Harvey Elliott as well. Sorry, I didn't mean to give the impression before that Harvey Elliott was a Liverpool product because he came from Fulham. But sorry,
aye, no, that's all right. That's all right. Reece Williams, look, I think Reece Williams is a good defender. I don't think he's great yet, but you actually look at it, he's probably not going to get much game time this season. So I think a loan would probably help him as well. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of players coming through. There's definitely Curtis Jones. I'm a big fan of Curtis, and half of Liverpool Twitter don't seem that way. But I don't really pay much attention to Twitter. I pay a lot more of attention to people who actually rate Curtis Jones, and I'm one of them. I think Curtis Jones is a fantastic player. So there are definitely players coming through the youth, and it's only a good thing for me as well. Neco Williams as well, but I think the problem with Neco Williams is I don't think he's kind of progressed like obviously like Owen thought that Curtis Jones has not progressed as much, but if you look at Neco Williams, he's kind of hit a bit of a barrier in my opinion.
Another thing I forgot to mention just in that question, obviously your youth team did beat Everton's first team in that FA Cup game at Anfield, which I'm sure gives you a massive smile on your face that Everton got purely bantered by the kids. But it does just show that this Liverpool academy, you can tell from Klopp's energy from the top runs all the way through the academy and the youth system, and it's a good thing because I do generally think Liverpool's academy is slowly getting better and better, and the talent, because like, as much as Harvey Elliott and Nat Phillips aren't exactly products of the club, they're still being scouted, they're still being brought in, and obviously the young youth coaches and the loan coaches, obviously, who would have helped Harvey Elliott when he was away at Blackburn, are obviously doing a very good job. So it's overall the system Liverpool's obviously working on.
They played 2 games. The under-18s played Everton in their season opener away, and they won 3-1. And then, or maybe it was at home, I can't remember, but the under-18s won 3-1 in the mini derby, and then the under-23s played Manchester United and won 5-0. And someone, if you're not a Liverpool fan, you might not know the name Oakley Cannonier. Do you know that name, Josh?
Oh, yes.
Not at all.
Oakley Cannonier.
Yeah.
It was the ball boy in the Liverpool 4 Barcelona 0 match who gave the ball to Trent so quickly so that Trent could take the corner quickly for that historical, fabulous goal, one of the best goals Anfield's ever seen, to knock Barcelona out of the Champions League semi-final. He was the ball boy, but now he's only 17, but he's playing in the under-23s, I think. Yeah, under-23s. And he scored a hat-trick against Manchester United. And this is a player who's been with us since he was a child. And he's grown through the ranks. And I think the work that Alex Inglethorpe, who's the academy director, and before him there was Neil Critchley, and they've done absolutely marvellous work over the last 10 years. Another name your listeners and watchers might not know is Cade Gordon, who we signed from Derby last season, and he's 16 years old. He's also playing in the under-23s. and he's extraordinary. So
Also,
Oakley, yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, also, your former under-23 coach, Neil, something he's the Blackpool coach. He's doing
Neil
Critchley.
he's doing a really good job at Blackpool too. So
yeah,
it shows
really
how good this academy setup really is from top to bottom for Liverpool.
Yeah, really, really intelligent guy. And that's the thing that FSG has brought as well. You say it's come from the top. FSG have put very smart people in charge of all of our departments, it seems, which is why we're, don't need to spend the big bucks to be competitive, I think. It's just with the nets.
But back to the Chelsea game. I just want to ask you, Doug. Chelsea obviously signed that striker in Romelu Lukaku, which is a massive. Which I ranted on. Summer's going to West Ham, which I'm sure Dan Fangold's incredibly happy with. West Ham actually making the sign of 30 million. That is confirmed, well, not confirmed officially, but it pretty much is done. So we'll be getting Keontae from Sevilla. That's pretty much going to be done and dusted very soon. And then Saul potentially join us, which I don't think we need Saul, but the options there. So Chelsea might take the opportunity, especially as it's a loan. With Harry Kane not going to Manchester City, all right, and taking your Liverpool bias out of it. Do you think Chelsea are slight favourites, or at least most definitely should be up there coming into the season?
As in sort of title contenders?
Yes.
Yes, for me. I think if you look at the Chelsea side, you've got a lot of depth. I think you've got more depth than us at the moment. I think you've got a good core of players. The only worrying thing for me is if Lukaku gets injured, I would worry about who would be your sort of number 9. I know Kai Havertz has played there. I know Timo Werner has played there. But my problem is Timo Werner's not a number 9. And I think he's more of a winger for me. So I think the main worrying thing for me would be if Lukaku got injured, I would be very, very worried. But if he can stay fit, if you can keep the bulk of your squad fit, then I think with Thomas Tuchel at the helm, yeah, I think. You beat Chelsea, you beat Manchester City 3 times last season under Thomas Tuchel, so that's got to be a good omen going into the new season. The only thing is Chelsea need to stop losing silly games. I remember they lost. I think it was they lost to West Brom at home. That was 5-2. They lost to Arsenal home and away last season. Okay, one of them was under Frank Lampard, but you get what I mean. Like you lost games where you probably would have expected to have probably won. So I think if you keep that consistency up, then you'll probably finish 3rd or 4th. But if you can get those silly results out of the way, then I do think you can definitely challenge Manchester City and Liverpool for that matter.
What about you? I know you're a big fan of Thomas Tuchel. Obviously, you kept a very close eye on what he did at PSG. It was quite funny because he was awarded the UEFA Coach of the Year today at the drawer, right in front of the PSG board, which was absolutely amazing. Do you think Chelsea? Do you think Chelsea should be up there with Liverpool and potentially Man City coming into the season?
Hang on, though, because I'm not exactly a huge fan of Tommy Tuchel. I respect the man, but I find his style of football is pretty dull to watch, I'm afraid. Like, it's very effective and all that. But no, yeah, if Chelsea are contenders, I thought, Doug, I agree. It's a really good point. If Lukaku gets injured, that's big worry for them. But for me, there's another missing ingredient. It is another centre back, and Jules Koundé rumours and all that stuff. I mean, he's a very smart man, Thomas Tuchel, I think. And if he's identified a centre back to take the place, because I think you could do better than Christensen and the aging Azpilicueta. But the goalkeeper's great. Your midfield's great, your attack's great, and the bench you had, I was just looking at your bench, Thiago Silva, Kante, Werner, Chalobah, Zuma, Hudson-Odoi, Chilwell, and Ziyech. Man, that's depth. That's like those nuclear submarines that they lost and are down at the bottom of the ocean. That kind of depth.
So I've got two more questions. And the first one is, Doug, in terms, do you look too much into? Do you look too much into what happened last season in terms of the way Liverpool capitulated at points during the season? Because obviously, when you hit a bad run of form, Liverpool struggled to kind of for a decent period of time, they struggled to kind of get back into the flow of things until you went on that run at the end and went unbeaten. Or do you just put it down to the fact that it was a COVID season, you had no fans in the ground, weird atmosphere, really heavy schedule, and injuries all over the place? Or do you think there's maybe a genuine element of this Liverpool team could have inconsistency in them?
I think the one thing was that last season was a huge look, everyone suffered without fans. I think you were one of them. I think Manchester United were one of them, and I think there were a lot of teams that actually suffered without fans, and I think we were one of them. And I think you played us at the right time. We weren't in the best run of form. And actually, you did really well that night. Werner had an offside goal. Mount scored with a very, very good finish as well. But I just feel that this time around, I think it could be a lot different, and I think it will be a close. I think it'll be another close game for sure. I think it's more about battles on the pitch though this time, because obviously us going through our 22 centre back partnerships last season. We've actually got a settled back four, obviously touch wood just now, but you look at Chelsea's side and you look at Liverpool's side. Liverpool will be more stronger this time around, so I do think it will be a different sort of a game. But inconsistencies can happen everywhere. As I've just mentioned, obviously Chelsea had a bit of inconsistencies last season for sure. So I'm very hopeful that they don't happen again. But yeah, I think the problem with us is whether we can keep everybody fit. The squad depth is clearly not there. And you look also that, Champions League, is Virgil van Dijk expected to play 6 Champions League games? I'm not sure. But it's a very tricky answer because I do think that this time around, I think we will be a lot stronger, and I think it will be a little bit more difficult to beat us at Anfield now than it was, 8 months ago.
Owen, what about yourself? Your mic's on mute, by the way.
Amateur. Excuse me. Yeah, this season's completely different. This is it's not just chalk and cheese. It's I don't know, chalk and pancakes. It's even more different. I don't know.
That's one way of describing it.
It's really different. It's chalk and balloons. Because the fans will be back, and that's going to be huge. There are two players from Liverpool, especially, who react and feed off the fans' energy, and that's Bobby Firmino and Sadio Mane. And Sadio, for example, looks like he's got his fire back. He might not have the burst he had 5 years ago, that burst of pace, but in terms of his game knowledge, his game understanding, the way that he's constantly outfoxing his opponents and ghosting into spaces, he's looking really dangerous again. I think, but of course, I mean, imagine Chelsea. Okay, imagine you guys. Okay, who are your 8th and 9th centre back choices? Do you even know? So Thiago Silva's out, Aspi is out, Christensen is out, Rudiger's out, Chalobah is out, Zuma's gone to West Ham. Okay, who are your next 3 defenders?
Chalobah, Sam.
No, I included him. He's out. He's injured.
Sam McCalland. and God, I'm trying to think who would be it. That's a really good question.
There you go. So Sam McCann and someone that you don't even know.
No,
Exactly. A lot of Liverpool fans didn't even know who Reece Williams was this time last year. So imagine you're playing those players against in the Premier League, and you've got to try and win as many matches as you can. That's the depth of Liverpool's crisis last season, and it was under talked about by other clubs, but we were going on about it because it was absolutely true. I'd never known anything like it from any club to be down to their 8th and 9th centre back. It's absolutely crazy.
That's true, and obviously you'll be very pleased. You'll be very pleased that is you'll be very happy that obviously you'll not have to experience that hopefully ever again. Hopefully no club will have to experience it ever again.
Yeah.
So the last question, the most obvious question on a preview is your score predictions. I've got one each. I'll happily take this point at Anfield. I feel like just for all the reasons you guys do have said, with the atmosphere and the players being in good form, I just see this being too much of a task for Chelsea to go and win. So I would happily take a point here. Doug, what about you?
I think we can, if we get an early goal, I think that will settle us down. And I do think you're in for a tough evening. I really do. I think it'll be as I've said, I think it'll be more about the battles. Van Dijk against Lukaku, for example. Obviously, Rudiger against whether it be Jota, Firmino. I do think it could be one in the midfield as well. So, with that being said, I'm feeling confident. I'm going to go 2-0 Liverpool.
And Owen?
I'm going to go 2-1 to either side. But I'm going to say Liverpool. Yeah, I mean, Lukaku against Van Dijk, I mean, you've got a fully fit and fully on fire Lukaku against Van Dijk, he's 90% there, maybe 80, between 80 and 90%. So I don't know. It'll be really intriguing, but I'm going to go 2-1 to Liverpool. Yeah. Naby Keita's going to score. Oh, will he?
Connor from the Cup Council said 3-1 Liverpool, so that's if it was 3-1, I'm sure you two would probably be up and down. You would maybe get another cheeky player song from Owen on the YouTube channel, like we did with Divock Origi.
You've seen it, yeah, man. The Divock Origi song.
Just to say, also, Doug, I remember on. Okay.
Summertime, feeling summery.
Obviously, Doug, I did a preview on your channel, and you obviously you opened it with "It's Time for Revenge." So I'm going to give you a head up now. If you lose this game on Saturday, I will be editing that into something for the Roll of Fun podcast on Monday night. So be prepared if you lose for me to take advantage of that. Connor's exactly the same. I've warned him.
Oh no! Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Obviously, it's last game before the international break. I think something's got to give. Obviously, these two teams have got 100%, winning start to the season. So, going to be a really interesting game, and I hope it's a very good game at least.
I hope so too. If you're interested in taking Doug's channel, it's the Doug Out Football channel. Sorry, I've been speaking so much today. It's the Doug Out Football channel. He hit 1.4k subscribers today, so big congratulations to you, Doug, and all the work you have put in. I know you're probably on the most your YouTube grinds the more than it ever has been at the moment. So you're pushing out videos. I know you were saying before we were hit record about your Scottish prediction. So you keep doing that. Also, I'll keep helping you with the Wonderful podcast. We will keep winding up Reece about how bad United are and still sure out from George, and that's the great little thing. Well, if you're interested in checking out the other Liverpool fan, Owen from Copon, he does. He's back to doing YouTube videos. He does a Premier League review every single week, if I'm not mistaken, Owen, and he does a Copon podcast, which is on all your Spotify, your Apple, your Google, whatever you feel like listening to. Would you like to obviously let my people know when the new episode with myself is going to be out?
Yeah, the Chelsea preview is actually already out on Cop On Podcast, so you can download that whenever you like, from wherever you like. Just Google it, Cop On Podcast. But also on my YouTube channel, it's something for everybody, for all of the fans of all the clubs. Every Friday, 7 p.m. UK and Irish time, and we're going to just do a preview of the Premier League. So before every match day, there won't be during the international break, but before every match day, we're going to start doing that. And it's about bringing fans together from different clubs and bringing analysts and journalists and all these different people together and try and do that on every Friday at 7 o'clock. So, yeah, everyone's welcome to join that. There's Cop On YouTube channel.
I do massively highly recommend checking these two out if you haven't done it already. Doug's helped me out massively. That's the reason why I'm doing YouTube. And Owen is literally one of the best guys you can have on to talk about any football. His choice of words, his wisdom, his David Attenborough-like voice, his statistics, his mindset's perfect. He generally has one. I've listened to ever since I met you on the Wonderful Podcast. I have listened to every single one of your common podcasts. So you've got a very dedicated fan there, and also I watch Doug's videos all the time. So these two are very good to me, and I appreciate you two for coming on tonight, especially on a very late night on a Thursday, which is always a bit dodgy, but I do very much appreciate it. If you guys did enjoy, hit the like button. I'm on 113 subscribers. I actually started off on 25 3 or 4 months ago when I started YouTube. So to be on this much now since then is quite a remarkable achievement for a guy who is literally the worst upload schedule known to man. I'm doing it right. So it's important that I keep pushing that out. There is matchday vlogs coming as of Saturdays. I'm back to Glenavon games tomorrow night, so come on, Glenavon. And there'll be plenty of match previews. Northern Ireland previews coming out as we play Switzerland. Come up in the international break in a must-win game. Johnny Evans won't be travelling, which is a big blow for us. Neil was literally tagging me on Twitter to rub that in my face. Really appreciate it. So there's plenty of content coming, plenty of variety of comments coming, and me trashing recent predictions. So what more could you ask for on this channel? So thank you very much, everyone, for your continued support, and I will be back again very later. As Owen says, stay healthy and eat your 5 a day.